You go. It's on you, Kevin.
What's going on, guys? We are here tonight again with another episode of Straight Talk Live with Post Grad Recruits. Very special guest in the building. We got Coach Lawrence Robinson. Welcome, Coach. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming on tonight. Of course, we got the normal group. We got Chris, myself, Coach Terry, Coach Davis. Want to get into it, talk to Coach Lawrence about what he's doing at his school, from recruiting to mindset to what he's looking for in players. Just have a great conversation and everything in between. So, with that, fellas, welcome. Thanks for coming on tonight. Let's get into it. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been today's been a good day. Got a couple commits, so just trying to put the 22 class to bed. But everything else is going all right. Taking it one day at a time.
Good, good, good. Well, let's hop right into it. So, congrats on the commits. Tell everybody where you're coaching, what position, group, or what role you play at that university, and just speak to the university a little bit for the people out there.
Yeah. So I'm Lawrence Robinson. I am as of about a month ago, a little over a month ago. I'm the new defensive coordinator here at Bluefield State, Division II HBCU here in West Virginia. Which I know a lot of folk are surprised by that, but yeah, there's actually two HBCUs in West Virginia, and so doing that, and then I also I'm the defensive backs coach, or AKA the Young Guns. That's the name that we go by. So
Okay.
and we are young. We're so young back there. You can smell the baby powder. It's crazy. So that's the benefits of being a startup program and having a bunch of freshmen playing for you. So yeah, but as far as the school itself, school's been around since the 1800s. Started, for as a teaching school for former slaves, and allowing them the opportunity to have an education. And they had football up until about 1981, and then got rid of it. And then that's where our current president, Robin Capehart, who was actually my school president in college at West Liberty. He brought football back, hired Tony Coxon, who was our head football coach. And he got hired last October, and we started playing in August, so
Nice.
it's been a really quick turnaround.
What conference are you guys in? You mentioned you guys are D2. What conference are you in? Like, who are some of the opponents? Are there some names we will be familiar with? Who do you guys play?
Yeah, so we were independent this year. Obviously bringing football back, you don't really get to jump in right into a conference or anything like that. So we were independent. We'll more than likely probably be looking like that for next year as well. But we just had the CIAA up here, which is that's going to be like Virginia State, Bowie State, Norfolk State, all of those schools. So fingers crossed that we get into that conference. We've also had one or two conversations with a couple other conferences, but right now the CIAA seems to be the strongest contender. Like I said, they were here 2 weeks ago on campus, and I think they're meeting again here in a few weeks. So hopefully that's where they will give us the nod of approval, and then we'll be in the CIAA. Last year we started the season off playing Lawrence Tech. That's an NAIA school up in Michigan. Then we played Elizabeth City, and then we played Johnson C. Smith down in Charlotte. Then we played Fort Lauderdale. They came up here. We'll return the trip down to them this coming year. And then we played Erskine in South Carolina and Barton in North Carolina. So those were our opponents for last year. And then this year, we'll start it off with Johnson C. Smith. That'll be a Thursday night game. And then we'll go to Virginia State, which is, back home for me. So I'm really looking forward to that one. My pops went to Virginia State. All my family's from out that way. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And then we'll play Lincoln, which is I believe a D2 school out of California. So that'll be a nice little trip for them coming out this way. Like I said, we'll play Fort Lauderdale again. We'll play the Apprentice School, which is part of a small school conference. We'll get them for homecoming. We'll play Central State out of Ohio, and then we'll play Fort Valley State as well.
Gotcha, man. You guys are definitely
Okay.
getting out there and playing any and everybody, man.
Hey, we gonna play anybody no matter what outside of the FCS schools and the G5 and Power 5, unless they want to cut us a fat old check. You know, we don't back down from nobody, and it starts with our head coach. So,
Because what I thought was impressive was the fact that you guys played a lot of freshmen, a lot of young guys. You didn't go and jump in that portal your first year that heavy. That I thought that was very impressive. How you guys managed to be able to do that with so many young guys and still be successful this first year?
That's a good question. The thing that I like about our guys is they were freshmen, but they didn't have that freshman kind of mindset. You know, I think we did a lot of things to make things comfortable for them on the football field. We didn't try to get overly complicated. You know, I think the fact that they saw us as a collective staff, you know, fluid and cool under pressure and all of those kind of things, I think all of those things really rubbed off on our kids. Again, starting with our head coach, Tony Coxum, and then our offensive coordinator, Coach Jermaine Gales, who's now at Lincoln in Missouri. He's the head coach out there. And David Blake, who's now at Fairmont State. I think, you know, it really started with those guys being able to kind of just set the tempo. And then after that, you know, obviously it's our jobs as assistant coaches to make sure that we're following through with that. And so we had a good group of kids. And obviously, you know, there were times that they showed that they were freshmen, but for the most part, you know, our guys just went out there and played. You know, we went down to Elizabeth City and, you know, 6-7 hour bus ride, and we went down 21-0 like real quick. I'm talking about real quick.
Yeah, I saw that article.
Yeah. And, you know, we up there behind their band. I'm like, man, you know, they talking trash and everything like that. And it was like, man, we went out here and took this long trip and gonna get smoked. And our guys just never saw it like that. They just kept playing. And then sure enough, it was one good play, one stop, one good play, one stop. And then before you know it, you know, you look up on the scoreboard and we beat them 35-27, 35-28, something like that.
Nice.
That's
Only
beautiful.
takes one play.
What's that?
It only takes one play, Coach. You know that.
It does.
That's
It
all
does. It
Don't watch the
does.
scoreboard. It will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Coach, let me ask you this, because I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you speak, and, you know, a lot of times you can really tell a lot about somebody really quickly. And, you know, you just come off as one of those guys who's a natural leader. What's your coaching background? How did you get into coaching? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I grew up around coaching. You know, I'm from a small country town. You know, it might be 9,000 people, 2 stoplights. Everybody know each other. My middle school teachers either taught my parents or they went to school with my parents. So, you know, if I ever got in trouble, you know, the call was made home before I got home, and, you know, you didn't even really get a chance to think of a lie because it was like, I already know what it is. And so, you know, we didn't have little league football. All we had was little league basketball and little league baseball. So, you know, not too many options for us growing up. And so my dad played in the same rec league that I played in. And he was a coach. So that's really where it started. And I remember one day I might've been like 13, 14, something like that. And I was like, you know, why do you coach? And he said, you know, the community took care of me, so I got to give back to the community. And he was like, that's just what you do. So he coached little league basketball, he coached track and all of those kind of things. So that's where I really started to get it, the coaching bug, so to say. But I went to a small little private school in the same town. You know, it was 200 kids. Graduating class was 50. So you really knew everybody. So I'm a small town boy. I ain't a city guy. I go to the city. I can go there for 2 days, and that's about it. But then went to West Liberty, which is a D2 in West Virginia, where I played safety. 2.5 years started there, won a conference championship. And then I actually went back to my high school and coached high school ball. I coached there for a year under my head coach, Ed Homer, at Christ Church School. And then I went to Hargrave Military Academy and coached there for 5 years. I got there right after their PG program shut down. So, you know, I coached the varsity guys, and, you know, I was working in admissions as well. And then a guy named Antonio King, who was the running backs coach at East Carolina. He had coached high school ball down in Durham for, a number of years, won a state championship with Bad Lee, who used to play at JMU. He kind of was like, you're pretty good as a coach. You might want to give this college coaching thing a shot. And so applied to be, a coffee boy for a lot of schools. Ended up getting on at William and Mary. So I was there for Jimmy Laycock's last season in 2018. And so I did that and made it through the transition with Coach Mike London. But when you're working for free 99, you working for free 99. So, and I got a truck, so she like her gas. So the bills don't stop, even though you're a volunteer. So I was able to work with the defensive staff while at William and Mary, a great group of guys. The defensive coordinator got me on to a school named Allegheny College. Their head coach was Rich Nagy, who was the defensive coordinator at ODU for a few years. So that's where I was able to get my room. Get my own room and, kind of take control of that and really, stand on my own 2 feet as a college football coach. So I was there for 2 years. COVID hit, and then former teammate of mine, David Blake, who's now at Fairmont State, he got the job at Bluefield State as a defensive coordinator. And, he called me and say, hey, I want you to come coach the DBs. And I was on the first thing smoking. So,
Right.
So.
Nice. You've definitely been moving around and taking advantage of opportunities. So with that mindset of coming from a tight-knit community, and keeping family and things like that really closely, you talk about recruiting, having a lot of young kids. How does that tie in, with how you go about recruiting and bringing those players in? Is it more so a family environment? Is it an environment that's, really pushing, hey, we all we got, we're together? Kind of talk about recruiting and, what you pitch to the guys when you're going out and sitting on the couches.
Yeah. Obviously, in today's world, with Twitter and Instagram and, everything else, the world is more accessible for a lot of guys. And so for the guys that we got here this past year for our first recruiting class, it was really, hey, you get the opportunity to be a part of something special, being a part of a program that hasn't played football in 41 years and, being able to start a program up. And, we would tell kids like, that's why we came, there, if you come to Bluefield, West Virginia, there ain't nothing bringing you here. I was outside of the school and playing ball. And so, we were obviously upfront with our guys and telling them, this is what it is. And, guys were like, okay, at the end of the day, yeah, I want to have a shot to have a shot. And so, for me, when I always talk to parents or when I'm talking to the young men, I definitely bring up the family piece. I tell the guys I'm firm but fair. The kids, they always worried about football. That part's easy. The hard part is trying to convince mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, whomever it may be. But as I tell them the same thing, once your son or once your young man plays for me, he's family, and that's just what it is. Now, I do got a couple rule breakers. We don't put our hands on women. That's a surefire way for me to cut you loose. But regardless of what the situation is, we're always going to be there. I'm always going to be there. I had pretty much every conversation in the world to have. I had to explain to the kids that a relative died that was close to them. Wow. We've had the drug conversations. We've had the alcohol conversations. For me, I'm teaching life. You know what I'm saying? I'm really trying to teach them life. And society has them kind of messed up where they think everything is kind of given to them and they can do whatever. And it's like, nah, we don't, the world don't work like that. You late for a lift. Oh, well, I was only 1 or 2 minutes late. Well, if you was to be working a job and you was to get a paycheck, they start docking you, well, then you're going to be mad, right? And so,
yes,
and when the money starts getting involved, then it's a real deal kind of thing. But yeah, every Friday when I'm talking to my guys, hey man, no means no. If it's questionable, that's a no. If you are fortunate enough to get lucky, then you got to wrap it up. You got to use protection. So we have those conversations. My fiance has a son. He's 12, and we didn't get to it this year, but next year she's going to talk to them about court fees and legal fees when it comes to child custody and child support and all that kind of stuff. Like, I want them to see that stuff. Yeah. And she's like OCD. Like, she keeps every receipt, every note, everything. She got binders. But I want them to see that, so they like, hey, like, you need to be thinking about, who you laying down with and all those kind of things. And you got some bitter baby mamas. Let's be honest, there are some bitter baby mamas out there, and there's ones that they don't want you involved at all. But I want them to see how those things work with each other, because that's real. Dudes go to jail over that. They lose their child visitation over that kind of stuff,
and everything else.
everything. And for them, they look through a window that might be one by one, whereas we as adults, it's our job to help them see 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. And every time I say that, parents are just like y'all, shaking their heads like, yep, exactly. So
you're teaching life lessons along with football.
Got to.
Man, that's so refreshing.
That's football right there, isn't it? Though football teaches life lessons.
Exactly. That's true.
No doubt. No, you mentioned one, and I heard Chris kind of chime in on it too, about the 1 or 2 minutes being late. And one of our coaches, he was our head coach, Coach Norman Joseph, and it was if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time.
Yeah.
And to this point, here I am all these years later outside of football. I hate being late. I hate it.
I'm the same way.
And I'm telling, my son is 6, my daughter's about to be 4 here in a couple of weeks, and I tell them now, like, let's go, let's be able to be early, because if something goes wrong, you have time to go back and fix it. If there's a wreck, whatever, you have time. But you try to stroll in somewhere right on time, or you're that 1 or 2 minutes late, especially when you start talking about a job someplace that you have to be, interviews, anything. Life is a lot easier, just being early or being a few minutes early. So I could appreciate you teaching really fundamental things that's whether they realize it or not, is going to carry over. And then you talk about the real deal, personal things from, potential child support and being with somebody and being able to choose somebody. That's refreshing. I think a lot of times you hear coaches maybe mention it or they say it after the fact, but to know that you can go in and speak to that ahead of time and you're looking out for them, not just on the field, but personally, and really meaning it and really being genuine. Man, my hat goes out to you. I applaud you for that, because that's amazing. That's amazing. So we need more of that. We need more.
Man, I tell guys all the time, man, if you're not checking that phone every 5 minutes when you sleep, you're not a college athlete yet.
You know what? The biggest bold-faced lie they ever tell you is, I haven't checked my phone. Your phones are attached at your hip at the college level, and that's a bold-faced lie.
There's actually a couple of kids, like, they legitimately, like, they don't check their phone. It's a few, far and few in between, but for the most part, I don't even like being on my phone like that. But that's where we are in society today. We always on our phone and all that kind of stuff. And so, I play the games. I tell the guys, like, look, bro, I'm 2 steps ahead of you. Like, everything that you're getting ready to say, I already know what you're getting ready to say. Right. And I've done it before. Like, I'm gonna say this, and then you're gonna say this, and they were like, all right, and I'm like, yeah.
Just save your breath, right?
Yep. 2 steps ahead.
Guys, go ahead and jump in, man. If you guys have any questions or kind of want to swing it around and get your thoughts, opinions, anything you want to talk to Coach about.
Hey, Coach. When you out recruiting, what kind of guys do you go for at your DB position, DB and safety?
So for DBs, first and foremost, I want guys that are going to be coachable. I think that's like one of the biggest things. Obviously, guys I'm not telling you that what your high school coaches have taught you is wrong or anything like that. We just trying to do it better. And so I know for a lot of guys, particularly freshmen, the one thing that they really focus on is that the fact that they get coached up on literally hand placement or every step, false steps, all of those kind of things. When high school, you're one of the guys for the most part. You are the guy for the most part. And so, you're able to just kind of get by doing whatever. But when you're at the college level, and I don't care if it's D3, D2, D1, whatever, for the most part, everybody's going to be the guy. Everybody's going to be pretty good. And those little things, like the fundamentals, they become that much more bigger. And we saw that this year. I got guys that, they were all world back at home. And as corners and safeties or whatever, they ain't never seen so many butt cheeks and elbows in their life. They got dudes running right past.
Right.
I'm talking about, pew. They looking at back of the cleats, butt cheeks, and elbows. And it's like, bro, like, that's what it is. And so after a while, but it takes them being burned, a couple times to be like, okay, Coach Rob might know what he's talking about. So being coachable is always one of those things. Me personally, I love guys that, make plays on the football. PBUs are always good, but in today's game where offenses are running 1,001 plays a game, like anytime we can get our hands on the ball, we got to go get it. And, there ain't no name. There's only one name on the football, and that's Wilson or Nike or, whatever brand. Other than that, ball's got to be ours when it's in the air, or it's on the ground. So that got to be really good tacklers. And especially with, playing in space, when I was playing, you could give headshots and all of that kind of stuff. You can't do that stuff no more. So in today's game, being spread out, you got to be really good at tackling. And if you're going to play for me, you gotta be tough. I'm tough on my guys, and I'm self-admitted. I tell them that I'm gonna be tough on you. But also I'm gonna love you at the same time. I'm never gonna degrade somebody. It's always like, yeah, you playing like trash. I'm not gonna say you are trash. I might say you playing like trash, and I might smack you in the back of the head and say, I know you better than that, and then we roll on. So you also gotta be psycho. You gotta be psycho if you gonna play for me. Like, all my DBs gonna tackle. Like, right. I don't care if you're a corner. I don't care if you're 5'8", 5'9". Everyone tackles. And, we had a couple guys this year, they couldn't tackle. So they had the best seat in the house, just like this on the sideline.
Right next to you.
That's exactly.
No, I'm in the box. So I'm chilling. Exactly. I got my Gatorades and all that. Yeah, when you doing this, that make you rethink some things. So,
oh man, that's good.
But see, that shows why you guys were so successful last year, because I'm a firm believer that players, the way they play, they take on the persona of their coach. So whoever their coach is, they start taking on that coach's persona. If you're upfront and honest with them, so they have to be honest with themselves, and you tell them, hey, this is how we're going to do it. Meet my level. You got to meet my expectation. I'm not going to meet yours. Then that's what they're going to do. So I mean, that's kudos to you, man, because that shows a lot of why you guys were so successful last year.
Yeah, there's a lot of times they make me look better than what I am. Hey man, it ain't Jimmy's and Joe's, it's Deon's and Davon's.
That's why you're supposed to recruit good.
Yeah, no question.
So, Coach,
I'm gonna
go ahead, Davis.
I'm gonna jump in and piggyback on recruiting wise, and you just told us everything about on field. What about off field? I try to always, when I'm recruiting, I try to get kids that are going to work hard in the classroom as well. How is that there with you?
Yeah, same thing. And excuse me, once I, obviously I've always been like this. I've always believed that, structure is some of the best stuff in the world, particularly for our young men in today's society. Going to class is a non-negotiable. It just ain't. And so, I always try to get transcripts right off the bat, because that can kind of help tell a story about a kid. Now, for me, I worked in admissions when I was at Hargrave Military Academy. And it was actually my first female boss. And, you know, she would explain stuff on, you know, how to read disciplinary reports and all of those kind of things. And so sometimes there's always more to the picture. You know, I can still remember it, a kid, you know, on his disciplinary report, he had school vandalism. So I call and I say, all right, you know, what was the deal? He wrote on a desk. And it wasn't anything major. It was just he wrote on a desk. But according to their rules, they had to label it like that. And so I never look at anything face value. If a kid misses a lot of days in school, okay, why is that? Is it stuff going on at home? Is it lack of transportation? You know, whatever it may be. If a kid struggles in academically, okay, why is he struggling? Does the school not have the resources? Is there some learning disability that was not diagnosed? Having worked in high schools, I know not every teacher is there to teach. They there to get a paycheck. And you got really good teachers that are going to do everything they can for those young men and young women. And then you got some they checked out. They just going through the motions. And so I try to find that information, you know, when looking at transcripts. Obviously, talking to coaches is always important. You know, being able to find about a young man's character. You know, am I going to have to worry about this kid missing lifts? Am I going to have to worry about him missing practice? Am I going to have to worry about him not going to class? All of those things. The football part is easy. You know, the football part is always easy.
Film talks for it.
What's that?
The film will talk for that.
Yeah, the film will always talk for that. But it's actually getting your butt up and going to class, you know. Yep. And I tell our guys, like, I had a teacher tell me right before I graduated high school, he was like, look, if you go to class, you guaranteed a C. He was like, professor see your face, you're going to get a C. And I literally tell my guys the same thing. You talk to your professors. If you get on Monday, how was your weekend? If your last class is on Thursday or Friday, hey, I hope you have a good weekend, yada, yada, yada. That professor is going to work with you, you know, and that is true. We had a couple guys that did that this year, and honestly, they got grades that they probably shouldn't have got, but they had good rapport with the professors, so the professors were willing to work with them. And so trying to get our guys to see that. But, you know, if you're missing lifts, if you're not going to class, and if you're hurt and you're not going to the trainers, then you ain't hurt. If you can't answer those three questions, those are non-negotiables for me.
Gotcha.
100%.
So let's stick to recruiting for a second. Of course, the world has been on fire over this past year, talking about the portal, talking about things like that. And, you know, we go back and forth throughout this show with a bunch of different opinions about it. You know, as a coach, and I think you're in a unique position with the school that's, you know, restarting the program. Do you look at it as a positive, like, hey, we can go get some guys and you have a chance to come in and build something? Or do you kind of stick more towards the high school guys, because a lot of guys are feeling left behind and overlooked, and you guys are kind of right in the middle where you could go either way, you know, and possibly take advantage of either type of player? What are you guys looking for when it comes to the transfer portal versus that traditional high school athlete?
Yeah, me and a couple buddies that I've coached with and I'm friends with, we've had this conversation quite a bit as well. And it was kids that was getting overlooked before the portal. Let's be honest. You know, whether it was where you live, if you're in a small town, coaches, I'm not going there. Ain't nobody going to be there. So, you know, you always got those diamond in the rough kind of kids, or, you know, a high school coach might not be helping them get the exposure that they need by sending their film out. I know I couldn't afford to go to a bunch of camps. I couldn't. I didn't have the money like that. My family didn't have the money like that to go to a bunch of camps. And I know nowadays a lot of that stuff comes from, you know, the rankings and exposure and all that stuff comes from camps, which is all fine and well, you know, if that's your deal. So I think that there's always going to be kids that are overlooked. I think some kids, you know, kind of they don't help themselves because, you know, even in today's day, they still get stuck in that D1 or bust mentality. Absolutely. And we all know there's schools out here. There's a school for everybody, but is it the school that you're willing to actually go to? You know, do you think you're better than that level or that school or whatever it may be? And for us, I just want good ball players. I don't care if you're coming in as a freshman, you're a grad student, you're a JUCO kid, whatever it may be. I just want good ball players. If it's some D3 kids out there that can play, I'll take them. Like at the end of the day, I just want good ball players. Now, on the flip side of that is there are benefits in getting kids from the portal that are particularly older, because like right now, this offseason, that's where we started to show our youthfulness, with guys getting to the weight room and going to classes and all that stuff. Once, football was over with, they had a little bit less structure. And so being able to get in older guys that can come in and say, this is what college football is. It's you're not winning championships in the fall. You winning it in December, January, February in that weight room. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think there's always that benefit of getting those guys that are older that can come in and show like our guys, hey, this is what it is to be in a college football program. Because my kids, they just think I'm mean and cruel. Like, why are you jumping down my throat if I miss a lift? Lift start at 9, is 9:02. I'm like, no, we starting at 9. You don't walk in at 9.
Right.
So yeah, and our head coach said we need at least one older guy per position. So that is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do is get some older guys that can show those young guys like, nah, Coach Rob ain't smoked up. This is what it is. Like, this is college football. Because my kids be like, Coach Rob, you smoked up. You smoked. I'm like, nah, this is college football, bro. Like, I put it on Twitter like a couple of weeks ago. Like, you were definitely afraid to be late for morning runs and lifts and all of that kind of stuff. Like, you were definitely afraid because you knew you was gonna get checked by one of them older dudes because they was probably gonna have to run extra because of you.
Facts.
So I think it's pros and cons. It's a deep, deep, deep rabbit hole, that and the NIL or that whole thing.
Yeah.
Messy.
That can go a long ways. That conversation is going to be never ending until it just never ending because the portal's not going away. I don't see it going away anytime soon. And that, moving on into the NIL deals, does that make things difficult for you guys? Can I get an NIL deal if I come there? Or do y'all lose recruits because of that?
Nah, I haven't. We haven't lost any kids to that. If that's what they want, I ain't got it for them. So we ain't got it for them. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like if you get it on your own, that's cool. But the Blue Spoon, which is a local restaurant, I doubt that they're gonna give you some kind of deal.
They might give a free meal once a week.
They got phenomenal food. Shout out to the lady that runs the Blue Spoon, but she ain't giving you no $1,000 or $500,000. They don't got it like that. So it's some hills that I'm willing to die on. That ain't one of them right now.
Gotcha. No, it gets crazy, man. And I think, we look at this past draft where guys who were expected to go and, they strengthened the argument for the NIL. And, you got some guys who were, I think, I don't know the kid's name, but I know he played at the University of Miami. And they're like, deadline passed, and he was like, hey, if I don't get more, I'm out of here. So, again, to your point, it's a rabbit hole you can go down and be forever and ever talking about it. But you're at the HBCU. It seems like now is an amazing time to be in an HBCU, especially football programs. How has Coach Sanders down at Jackson State and Eddie George at Tennessee State, how is that ripple effect affecting you guys, or are you feeling it? Is anything different? And I'll kind of tie one more question into it because I found this real interesting. I ended up having a conversation with my son about it. I was on Twitter, and I don't know the exact way it was put, don't remember, but basically the guy said the in vogue, kind of the hot thing to do for recruits right now is to get an HBCU offer and never have really any plans of considering them, just to say, hey, I've got an HBCU offer. Do you think that's true? Is that something you guys are dealing with, or what's life like for you being at the HBCU right now?
Yeah, I think things have, obviously Coach Sanders down at Jackson State has done wonders for all HBCUs. And I think, given the current climate of things, the last few years, that's going on in society was what's happening with young black men. I think the football piece is always good. That's always, when people look at our staff, our head coach is the oldest dude and he's 45. I just turned 33. So our staff is pretty young. And so from that perspective, we can speak the same language when it comes to parents. Obviously, again, the football piece, that's what the kids are definitely worried about. But the parents, they're worried about, life after football, life outside of football, all of those kind of things. And, kind of like what we talked about before is, me having my fiance have those conversations with our guys. We're able to share experiences. I did it with the DBs at the beginning of the school year. Hey, here's what happens if you get pulled over. Okay. Call me, put it on speakerphone and, let things play out, like 10-2 and all of that kind of stuff. And I've had that happen probably 4 times this year. Guys get pulled over. Hey, Coach Rob, I'm calling you. I got pulled over. I'm like, all right, bet, leave it on speakerphone. Be cool, all that kind of stuff. I think it's those experiences that we are able to share with players that is what makes it attractive for a parent or grandparent or whatever. And so I think HBUs are the hot thing right now. I wouldn't disagree with the fact that there are some kids that are saying hey I've always wanted to go to an HBCU. Could they be lying? More times than not, probably not. But I always kind of follow up like, all right, well, what makes you want to come here? And then it's I'm waiting for that reply back for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it may be. So now they're trying to do a little research on the school right quick, that kind of thing. And so when it comes, some kids, it's a game. They just want to be recruited. Yeah. They like the likes. They want to be able to, hey, I had a great conversation with Coach such and such, and post a graphic and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of like a red flag. I see through that. Do you obviously you want to be recruited, but do you just like being recruited? Hey, I received my 33rd offer. Like, okay, bro, we got it. You're good. We got it. A lot of people want you.
And 32 with a D3.
Right. Yeah. Oh well.
Some of those dudes, they don't even care what level it's at. They just want somebody to show them some love.
That's it.
My prior school, we didn't give them a letter until they deposited. You didn't get nothing to post until you deposited because you're just trying. Every kid is out to get something.
Yep.
What are you giving me to get to go there? Well, I'm giving you the opportunity to fulfill a dream at the next level. How about that?
Yeah.
It's just simple.
Some don't see it like that.
Yeah.
No, they
not
don't.
all do.
They would rather sit at home. They would rather. There's a lot of guys that would rather sit at home than take advantage of the next level and continue playing the game. That they say they love. But you don't love it that much if you're willing to go home rather than go strap it up. I mean, and time and time again, it's been proven that the NFL goes and gets D3 guys too. So if you that guy, you that guy. You know
what they say, man. If you're good, they'll find you. So, like you said, it doesn't matter where you're at. Coach, I want to give you the opportunity to space the floor. Make not necessarily a pitch, but to the guys that are seeing this and they may not have an offer, they may not, know where their next step is, or they're still in that junior season or whatever, and they come across this and now they're looking into the school. Give them your whatever you would want to tell them to say, hey, this is a school for you, this is a program, I'm the coach for you. What would you tell those guys?
I think for the guys that are, here's what I've been telling guys here recently. I'm a first-time coordinator. Okay, I'm not gonna make all the right calls. I might mess stuff up in practice or whatever it may be. But I got a chip on my shoulder. because I started as a high school coach. And something else I put on Twitter was there's a lot of college coaches that they wouldn't survive as a high school coach. I got to line the field. I got to do this. I got to do that. Like being a high school coach is tough. So I got a chip on my shoulder to try to do the best that I can, not just for me, but for other high school coaches that might be looking to make the jump. And I want guys that got that same chip on their shoulder. They might be overlooked by, Virginia Tech or NC State or, some D2 programs in North Carolina or something like that. I want guys that they got a chip on their shoulder just as much as I do. When you're looking at Bluefield State, you're truly becoming a part of a family. You really are. We as a coaching staff, we're a family. My head coach said, our group chat has to be the funniest group chat he ever seen in his life. I'm a Duke fan. My head coach.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
See, yeah, there you go. All right, I knew I liked y'all. But like my head coach, he's a Carolina fan. My wide receivers coach and my O-line coach, they're all Carolina fans.
Tell them all I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, I can't talk too much right now. Yeah, they did beat us the last two times, so I can't talk too much. But we legitimately spend time with each other outside of the office. My D-line coach, he and I played ball together in college, so we've been friends for 15 years. I'm a Michigan football fan. He's an Ohio State Buckeye fan. So we go at it. Me and him go at it, and we say stuff to each other that, sometimes other coaches like, dang, it's like that. And I'm like, me and him, we different. We can have them kind of conversations. Right. So when somebody's looking at our staff, like they're truly getting a family. And then when they become part of the program, they're becoming part of family, regardless of where they're at. We got a kid from California. I got two brothers from San Antonio, Texas. We got kids from Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Virginia, Carolina, Ohio, New Jersey, New York. It's a family. It is really a family. Family don't always get along. We all know that. We all got some people we all got some kin in our families. Like, you stay over there. But, that's the way that it's supposed to be. It's all love. We're going to go at it. My head coach says, if somebody's getting in the fight, I'm swinging first. Mm-hmm. He was like, I might not get nobody after that, but I'm getting the first punch, So that's how it is. We legitimately have a true family. And the fact that we are a young staff, we're going to play teams that, they got coaches that are experienced and everything like that, which is fine. We ain't there yet. We're going to get there, but we ain't there yet. But if you want a legitimate chance to play and you really want to get coached up and you want to get loved up, this is the place for you. This is the place for you. And, at the end of the day, we're going to make sure that we get them grades right. You become a better man, and you're going to graduate with a diploma and something that's going to help you have an impact on society. For example, we had some guys that wasn't taking care of grades. Head coach shut down spring ball. How many coaches in the country gonna do that?
Not many. They gonna get all those days in.
Yeah. They gonna get them days in. But our head coach said academics is far too important, for us to kind of let this stuff slide. So instead of practices, we had study halls. Guys ticked off and everything like that. And it's like, well, dummy, do your work.
Hey, once that standard is set, you got to meet it.
Yeah. The standard is a standard, and we ain't dropping past that standard. Right. So, and I think that's a message that everyone can relate to. Obviously, if you're a young pup, take care of your grades. I've been with some coaches, and man, coach, you're gonna love this kid. Yada yada yada. Give me the transcript. I'll ball it up right there. I don't need to talk to that kid. He ain't gonna be eligible. I don't need no money on the sideline because he ineligible. I need dudes that's ready to go.
Right.
So grades is always important, and obviously taking care of your social media. Making sure that you ain't, online showing bad things. Those things. Those are red flags.
Get that by now, right? But
And
you think so, but
it's 2022, and
there's always someone out to get you.
Always.
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 Yeah.
I had a kid that put something on social media one time, and somebody threw it at the school. He had to write a letter and get recommendations and go through the whole 9 yards, because one thing, when he was like not on social media, somebody held on to it to throw it at the college that he was going to.
Yeah.
And that is the world we live in these days, man. It's a microcosm of our society. Social media rules, and you have to a lot of times go through that stuff with a fine-tooth comb when you're trying to get that job, when you're trying to get that scholarship, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Make sure that social media is on point.
Yeah.
But Coach, before we let you get out of here, man, it's been a great conversation. Chris, I know you got a good question for him.
You know, I actually got 2 questions.
Okay.
I got 2 questions. I meant to ask this when we were talking about, the draft. Is it what you're not a coach if you never look to the other side of the field and look back at your guys and like, dang, I wish I was coaching him. So is there somebody in NFL, is there a player that you like, man, I wouldn't have mind coaching that guy right there, or somebody who's entered the draft that I wouldn't have mind coaching a kid like that?
It don't matter on what side of the ball.
No, it don't matter.
Shoot, man, it's a lot of dudes. It's a lot of dudes in the league. I know defensively, Patrick Surtain.
Okay.
That kid is gonna be the Ja Morant of the NBA of the NFL, excuse me. Like, he's gonna be the next big thing. Like, he's legitimately gonna be the next big thing. I think with his height and his length and his playmaking abilities, that dude's gonna be special. He's gonna be special. Offensively, I don't know who's gonna give me the biggest cutout day contract. That's gonna be the the Justin Jefferson, or the kid from Minnesota. Is that his name? Justin Jefferson. Yeah, that kid is special. That kid is legitimately special. Like, just different. Just absolutely different. Like, he's one of them dudes, like, I would hate as a defensive coach, he catch the ball and it's like, oh, here we go.
Right.
Like, what are you about to do?
You're like, somebody
and it's like little subtle things. It's like little subtle things. I've seen him do it a couple times. He's caught a ball and somebody's trying to grab him from behind, and he like swipes their hand from behind like that. Like, that's different. That's different, man. That's different. Yeah. So he's gonna be legit.
You made me feel kind of old there for a second. You said Pat Surtain, and I instantly started thinking about his daddy. I'm like, okay. Then, yeah, he does have a son. That's right.
Nah, I'm in the same boat. I came up watching them dudes. All the dudes that I watch now, their boys is coming up in the NFL and all that stuff. And it's like, man, like, I'm old, and, talking to the players that just make you feel like you about 100 years old. They ain't got a clue who you talking about. Like, they have no clue. I'll throw out names, and I don't know who that is. No clue.
You try to reference, you try to use references and things, and they're like, I don't know, Coach. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's like that with everything, music. Man, I was listening to I think it was Boys to Men, and one of my kids was like, man, that's that old school stuff. Who's that, B2K? I was like, what? That's that old school stuff, B2K. I was like, what? I'm telling you, man, kids is different.
But then they come out with different lingo, and we're like, what did you just say?
Right.
Oh, yeah. I hope you made him run behind that one. Like,
right.
Nah. I just walked out the weight room. I told him don't talk to me for the rest of the day. But yeah, I like you saying, the lingo piece is taking me a little minute.
Yes.
It took me a semester and a half to figure out what cap was. I eventually had to be like, hey man, what's cap?
Cap.
No cap, Coach.
No cap. They just took the no off.
No. They kept saying it like, yeah, no cap. And I was like, all right, like, cool, sure. No idea. no cap, on God, everything is on God. It's like,
God. What was their reasoning of no cap?
I can't get one.
You know,
I can't get one.
I don't think they know either.
I don't think they know either.
It came up and word spread, and yeah.
It is. We need y'all to go ahead and tweet and let us know what no cap means.
a legit definition, man.
Please explain it.
I do know it. If you say you capping, that means you lying. So
right,
I did get that part. Where it came from, I have no idea where the correlation is, but yeah, right. I threw it out one time. It was like, all right, coach. I was like, yeah, you capping. It's like, yeah, he is capping. I was like, all right, whatever. I guess I fit in with a bunch of 18-year-olds.
So
they want you to fit in.
Yeah, they do. Right. They do. That I ask them, hey, like, give me some songs I need to listen to, and some of it, some of it's good, some of it's like, yeah, that's trash. But
yeah, absolutely, and it all sound the same too.
All the same.
But then we just listened to this song like 5 songs ago. So, go the last question I'm sure you asked your fiance this because I like to try to give you an opportunity to prep for this question. if you were a fruit, what fruit would you be?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask your fiance, and she gave you an answer. You might not like it, but she gave you one.
Oh shoot! I done told her whatever she want to call me at this point. I done heard worse. So she called me this and that. I'm like, yeah, all right. I've been called worse. She'll probably agree with this one, a coconut, because she'll say I'm hard headed, which is probably true.
There you go, David.
She'll say I'm hard headed, stubborn, hard headed. Yeah.
See, Davis goes into the whole nutritional value of this question and tells you how the coconut has different nutrition.
Got the vitamins. Resources. You don't have to be just hard-headed, coach. You could use the coconut oils. You can use the water to get hydrated. You're using the smart nutritional value, not just your hard-headed.
It's deep. Let's go.
Coach Davis says it's useful. You're useful, Coach.
I am useful. There's one thing that I've learned being, from what I'm told of being at the collegiate level is you got to be useful. And I think all of that goes back to the high school level where you had to do everything. So it ain't nothing for me. Like I go to the weight room every day. I might be in there for 5 minutes. I might be in there for 40 minutes, but my guys are going to see me in the weight room every day. I do academic checks on a weekly basis. I'm our equipment manager, so I'm doing all that stuff too. So I do a little bit of everything. So yeah, just like a coconut, you got coconut water, you got coconut chips, you can use it for protection, all that kind of stuff.
What are you gonna do? Put it on your head as a hard hat?
Hey man, look, dire times call for dire measures. You know what I'm saying? So I hate coconuts, by the way. I can't stand them. My dad loves them.
Join the club. Join the club. I can't stand coconuts.
My pops, though, the Girl Scout cookies with the coconut flakes on them, the Samoas,
yes.
Man, my pop will kill those with ginger ale or a Pepsi. Like, he'll smoke right through them things. I can't do it. Coconut cake, I can't do it.
I don't mind coconut, man. I just can't get with the coconut water, man. That stuff.
See, I'm the exact opposite.
Water now, they make it with flavor. Pineapple, mango.
Yep.
The pineapple one good.
Yeah, go ahead, try it out.
Try the coconut water, man. Get hydrated.
I don't like regular water.
Yeah, you see Coach out here. He's chucking what did you put in that water?
Oh, I didn't know nobody. I got this. Hey,
calling you
this
out.
stuff
Give
is
your secret
high
to it.
antioxidant. High antioxidant. So I had to I'm constantly
Should be
squirting
drinking
in
your
the
coconut
water. Hey, this vitamin C and antioxidant. So I was trying to, boost up.
There we go. There we go.
We've been on. I've drunk like 7 bottles of water.
I've been watching you. You could just get one big glass of water instead of them little 8-ounce water bottles.
Right.
Over here. Oh, yeah, let me open this one. Squirt a whole bunch in, drink it.
Hey man, my philosophy is I drink like sweet tea and all that other stuff. It got water in it, so that's what I count it as.
Oh man,
there you go.
Water in it.
So when your kids cramp on the field, what do you tell them?
Drink tea.
You ain't drinking no tea. You're not drinking no tea.
Come on.
Get off the field.
Yeah, get off the field. But if they
Get off the field, go see the trainer.
Drinking tea. We saw you drinking tea, so we followed suit.
Nah, hey. Sometimes it's got to be do as I say, not as I do. Sometimes it's got to be like that. Sometimes you got to do that.
In the conversation with that.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on, man. It's been great. Much success to you, not only in your career but this upcoming season. I think a kid coming to play at your school, and especially the DBs or anybody on that defense on that team, I think they'd be very blessed to be able to play under you. So, thank you for coming on, man. On behalf of the guys, thank y'all for hopping on tonight. Of course, Chris providing this platform and being able to talk to coaches and connect coaches and kids on a different level. A lot of times kids aren't able to see that version of a coach when they're in their house, or once they get to school they feel like things switch up. So it's always good to have these conversations and just get to know you a little bit better, and hopefully we're able to connect some players in schools. But we thank you, we appreciate you, man, and if anybody doesn't have anything else, we'll call it a night, guys.
All right,
let's go.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thank you, man.